The hell? Come on. Why isn't it going live? There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you've been on for a while and haven't seen anything because of technical difficulties, but here I am. This is Material Issues, and it's episode number 54. And I've got to get rid of this banner here somehow. So let's see what I can do here. How did I get it in there in the first place? No, that's not it. Banners. Nope. Brand. There we go. Okay, there we are. If you can hear me, say something because I have no idea what's happening right now. This is Material Issues, and this is David Bash, au natural, because I figured the hat would not go well with this amazing green caftan that I got from dreamdragon.com, an amazing website where the owner can custom design caftans for you. It's very cool stuff. So I'm happy. I love this, even though it's not. Well, I have to say it's not quite registering the exact color. This is green, but it shows as, I don't know, something more like blue with black in the background. At least that's how I'm seeing it. Anyway, we've got John Borack might be having some. It looks like he's having a few technical difficulties with a connection as he's in his car rather than home. He's putting his thumb up. Maybe it's okay now. So I'm going to bring him on and see how it goes. So would you please give a huge Material Issues welcome to Mr. John Borack.
I'm in the parking lot of a grocery outlet in a really, really sketchy area of Long Beach. So if suddenly you hear gunshots and I slump over to the right, that's why.
What if you slump over to the left?
Then my head will hit the window and it'll break, and it would be bad either way.
What will break, the window or your head?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see that we have listeners. Are you hearing? Somebody chime in and see if are you receiving me, to quote Andy Partridge. Anyway, you guys all know John, pop music journalist extraordinaire, author of Beatles books, power pop books, etc. And every time we have him on, it's that much more interesting. But today we have a special guest. He also is a pop music journalist, or maybe as he would label himself, a fanboy, as I label myself. But he really is a journalist. He was a co-publisher of Pop-Sided Magazine, one of the premier publications in the 90s. And he and Jim Rowe published that. Since then, he's done liner note writing, is currently doing lots of podcasts, including Beach Blanket Fort Bingo, CD Junkie, and Ronnie Barnett's Boom Boom Room, which he co-hosts with Ronnie, a former guest of ours on Material Issues. And he's just an all-around bright, bubbly guy. So we're going to bring him on. Would you please give a huge Material Issues welcome to Mr. Stephen Schnee.
Hey, everybody. Hey. How's it going?
Hey, Steve. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you, John and David? You know what I forgot, David? I forgot to mention this is Ski Lodge. That's probably my most popular thing out of all the shows that I do. And I forget to mention it. But this is Ski Lodge.
You just mentioned it now.
Well, I forgot to mention it to you before, to put it on the list. Hello.
Okay, now I see the comments, and people are hearing us. So that's,
yeah, Tim Allen is here. Great guy. DC. They're Ski Lodge fans. We see here Facebook user, but it doesn't have a name on it.
Yeah, and you know why, Spaz. You probably know why. Because they didn't register with YouTube.
Yeah.
We're glad this is coming out now on Facebook. Last week we were having some issues where it didn't. People didn't know where we were, but ultimately
I don't know where I am right now, honestly. But anyway.
Hey, but you know what? At Grocery Outlet, you can walk in there right now and probably get Captain Crunch Christmas Crunch, because they've always got the Christmas cereals on the shelf like 6 months after Christmas. Or 6 months before. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for asking me to be on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I'm always the guy they go to when they can't find anybody else.
Then why didn't we go to you earlier? We've always had problems finding it. Who wants to be on this thing? I mean,
I think it's always fun to talk about pop music. I mean, I'm really like I said in the little before the show started. I'm really I just don't want to ever do interviews anymore. I've done interviews on other channels and stuff like that, but since you guys have been friends for at least 3 years, no, I think going back 30. In fact, David Bash, I was just thinking about this last night. David Bash was in my apartment the day that my daughter took her first steps.
Yes, I was. I'll never forget that, actually.
Yeah. Wow. It was like, oh my God.
And now
I've known both of you. I've known both of you for a long time, but Mr. Schnee, I've known you even longer. I think we met when you worked at Hyde Park Corner.
Yes.
I came in there one day, and you and I got into a discussion. This would be probably late 1990. We got into a discussion about music, and it turns out that we had a lot of we had a lot of bands that we loved in common, and a bunch that we didn't.
Yeah.
Which great too, because I learned a lot.
We always do. We always do.
And you turned me on to a lot of really good bands, and even though your forte was UK stuff, especially at that time, you weren't into that much American pop. But so you turned me on to a lot of them, including the Real People, who we just had at Ipo Liverpool, which was amazing. They were really great. They're still great, and they're really nice, humble guys.
Oh,
no
awesome!
ego whatsoever.
Awesome.
You turned me on to all kinds of stuff.
Are Skip Stevenson and Sarah Purcell still in the Real People?
No, but John Davidson is. Or that was a different show, wasn't it?
That's a different reality show.
Yeah. all these. I love the pop culture references that some people out there may go, eh? What are they talking about?
Anyone
You
who's
guys were
under
both going,
50,
when I said it. So.
anyone who's under 50 isn't going to know what the hell we're talking about today. Maybe even under 60.
No one under 50 watches this show, David. Come on.
I'm sure that's true.
Well, I mean, David, you were talking about the me not liking American pop. That's so true. I mean, I was way into the power pop scene from like the late 70s, but by that time in the 90s, my focus was towards the UK. So I was buying things like Power of Dreams and The Laws and bands like that, and The Real People, of course. So that was always.
Don't forget Blanket of Secrecy, which you were hoping would come out on CD. You were praying for that, and Postcards from Home by Nick Hayward.
Postcards from Home eventually came out on CD. Blanket of Secrecy from 1982. That actually, I have it on CD. I have a Russian CD of that that actually has bonus tracks on it.
No offense to those of you in Russia, but Russian CD is code for not exactly kosher.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, David, you were the one who introduced me to Steve originally.
Yeah.
And that was when Steve was working at Digital Ear, I think, in Boston.
Yeah, Digital Ear.
And I remember going there, and Steve turned me on to a bunch of obscure UK power pop. I remember specifically the Ouch, a band called the Ouch.
No, it's just called Ouch.
I Need You More.
Yeah.
Wow, I'd totally forgotten about them until now.
Ouch.
I actually, if you go on, I think Bandcamp might actually have all 3 Ouch CDs.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, in fact, I'm Facebook friends with one of the members. I should probably try to get an interview. Hey, I'm looking in there. I don't know Jay, or do I know Jay? Or Joy. I'm sorry. I have one contact in and no glasses. And then Brian Burrow from Ireland is watching.
Oh.
So,
hello to everybody who's here. Oh, let me finish my thought. I met John in 1993, so I'd already known you for at least 2.5 years before I met John.
Yeah.
And I went over to his house, and at that time I was Mr. Arrogant. I thought I knew everything about everything, power pop wise. And then John turns me on to a bunch of stuff that I'd never even heard of. So it serves me right for thinking I was all that in a bag of chips. But I am now, but I wasn't then.
Hey, Matthew Street's here, by the way.
Who?
Matthew Street.
Oh, Matthew Street. Okay, cool.
Yeah, not the actual street, but Matt Street.
We were there. We were there on Matt.
Yeah, I know.
In fact, we did a broadcast a couple of weeks ago. Mark Hershberger, who's our normal co-host, who's not here. He and John did the show, and they brought me in from IPO, and I mean, it was a pretty dodgy connection, and I don't mean the band. But it worked out. It worked out okay. We've had what? God, now I don't remember his name. The main guy from Dodgy, Clark. But I forget his first name right now. I hope he's not watching.
Clark Griswold?
No. His last name's Clark. Nigel Clark.
Ricky Clark.
No, not the Angels pitcher.
Clark Gable? No. That reminds me. I just like to plug something here. I don't have it yet, but there is a Dodgy box set that came out with all the A&M albums. I have to get it.
I have the CD box. When I was in the UK, I saw the LP box all over the place, but I thought, you know what, the CD's enough for me, and it's just going to be more weight to bring back. I was really concerned because I had so many LPs. I had mailed my CDs back, and they finally arrived today.
Wow!
But I had all these LPs, and I thought I'm going to be over the limit, and I'm going to have to jettison some, and I just made it in.
Oh, that's awesome!
I packed both of my bags with as many records as I could, and both of them were just under 50 pounds each. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
So that's
I'm
that's similar to when Steve and I go to Dallas, and Steve brings 3 extra suitcases just for his CDs.
I know. I just go crazy. I have to play it smart. Last time I went, I spent quite a bit of money on stuff that basically ended up on my This Is Ski Lodge show. And my This Is Ski Lodge Tuesday nights on my channel, 6 p.m. Pacific. And but that's the joy, the great joy of music, I think, is really the fact that you have everything that came out today or everything that came out this week or this month, but you have everything that came out before it, and it's never too late to rediscover stuff. So
Yeah.
I play stuff on my show all the time from groups like The Innocents and stuff like that. I'm talking about the 60s Innocents with what's the guy's name who ruined Ringo's albums?
You mean, was it Anders and Poncia?
No, Vinny Poncia.
Vinny Poncia, yeah.
Yeah. Things like that where people may not have heard them before. I play them on the show, and then I get people telling me all the time, like, dude, that cost me $35 on Discogs, but I love it, And
Worth it.
yeah, it's totally. The thing is there's just so much out there for us to dig,
Their
and that's
version of Mersey Dotes is the shit.
yeah. Exactly. So I love my big thing has always been, and you guys as well. I mean, I'm not alone at this. It's just so fun to share that passion. Once you have that passion, that connection with music, you don't want to walk around and go like, hey, look at me. I've got the Buzzcocks inventory box set right here. Ha, 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 ha. It's not an ego thing like I own this. It's, dude, you got to hear You Say You Don't Love Me, or you got to hear this B-side. It's always that passion for sharing music.
That's how you always were. That was one of the reasons I loved hanging around you. You had stuff that I didn't have. But you never bragged about it. It was more like, I love this. You should find it. We're going to get it for you. At the time,
I would always order stuff for you.
There was a time at the time you were working for that district, Norwalk, was it?
Norwalk Distributors.
The one that had the owner who was a complete dickhead. What was his name? Bruce?
No. I'm not. No. That was Abbey Road. I'm not going to talk. I will not talk bad about Bruce whatsoever. He's my boss now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, please.
Hi, Bruce. I didn't mean that.
Oops.
No, he's actually a great guy. I've known him for.
Oh, good.
I mean, yeah, but no, we started there, and then when my daughter was born, Holly, who just got married about 2-3 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's I started working part-time just to bring in a little bit of extra money. I was being Mr. Mom, so my sister would go to work, my sister would come home from work and she'd babysit Holly for an hour or so until my wife at the time would come home, and then I'd go work at it was first at Hyde Park Corner, and then it was Digital Ear, and then it was I think I went straight into this was way after Abbey Road, and then I went to, I think, Phantom Imports, and then Norwalk, and then where I work now, Alliance. Just celebrated my 16th anniversary at Alliance yesterday.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think we should reiterate that Bruce is a great guy. At
Yes.
this point, Bruce, I don't even know you, but if Steve says you're a great guy, you're a great guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Bruce Brodeen is a great guy.
Because
Yeah,
you would like to make it to year number 17 now that you've hit 16.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Dave.
Now, if he's that great a guy, he won't hold what I said again. I just, never mind. We won't go there anymore. Now I'm gonna get the obligatory baseball question out of the way. So I know, Steve, Spaz, you're not going to want to take part in this, but let me just ask John what he thinks about this. This will be quick. Yeah, I don't have my copy yet. Jason Jarman, send it to me. Jeez.
Did I get you into Liars Club?
Yes.
Yes.
You most certainly did. And Cinnamon Smiles is one of my all-time favorite songs. So thank you for that.
Okay. Go with the question. I'm sorry.
So John, yesterday Gleyber Torres hits a ball in the gap. I'm sure. Yeah, you probably don't want to talk about this because it was against the Angels, against Noah Syndergaard. But he makes it to third safely, and he overslides the bag, and then he's tagged out. The Angels challenged and won it, but they call that a double that's stretched into a triple, and it's an out. I think it should be. I think it should be a triple. He made it to third base safely. I think it should be a triple and an out on base, like kind of almost like if you're picked off. It's not the same thing as not beating the throw to third and being tagged out. You're oversliding the bag and coming back. So it should be an out.
I agree. It should have been a triple. And Spaz is showing CDs and throwing me off here. Anyway, yeah, triple. Gleyber Torres.
Yeah.
Poop side. I see it. Poop.
All right.
Is that what it
That's
says?
all. Yeah,
it's bad.
We could expound upon that, Spaz, but we're not gonna because we know you're not a baseball fan.
No, it should have been a triple. The Yankees suck, and let's move on.
Okay. I agree with two of those things.
I thought you might.
Let me ask you this, Spaz, because back in the day, Mark Hershberger is checking in from the basketball game.
I can't really hear you guys once again. How you doing, Steve? John?
Hey, Mark.
What's the other guy's name? David. How the heck are you? I wish I could hear you.
Great,
It's very loud in here. But you guys all look.
We can hear you. It's like you're yelling. It's like you're yelling really loud.
What's that?
I said it sounds like you're yelling really loud in a basketball
Haddonfield girls are leading 9-1 over Glen Ridge Ridgers. That's up above New York City. David might know where Glen Ridge is. But it's 9-1 at the half. I just wanted to check in and say hi. I hope you guys are having a great evening, but I really can't hear you at all. So
we are.
I just want to tip my hat and say, God bless. Enjoy the rest of the night.
You too.
Hello, live from Haddonfield Memorial.
Who the hell let that guy in here?
Jeez Louise. Talk about mood killer.
Yeah. Well, back to this is something I wanted to ask you, and I probably should know this because I should be watching more of your podcasts. But when you and I were first friends in the early 90s, you did not have any LPs. And I think you told me the reason was your apartment was really small, and your wife kind of said, you can have all the CDs you want, but we don't have room for LPs. I assume you obviously had LPs prior to that. You must have gotten rid of them. Do you have LPs now?
He also got rid of the wife.
Well, yeah. I should have got rid of that first. But no,
you got Holly out of it, so don't say that.
Yeah, exactly. No, the thing, no, it really wasn't that. I got rid of them willingly because I was switching all to CDs. But I probably had about 2,500 LPs.
Wow.
And and then like hundreds and hundreds of 7-inches singles. Sorry. It was okay.
That's not bad. That's above average. The hundreds and the length, but so that's good.
It's a hell of a lot better than a thumb drive, Spaz.
Yeah, I know. That's all I'm stuck with now. I got rid of them as I started going for CDs. Now, by the time that Holly was born, I think I had already transitioned from CD to vinyl. She was born in 1990. So that makes sense. And I still haven't gone back to vinyl. I have no desire. I love the fact that people are, but you know what? When you can walk in, for example, you can go online, let's say to Amazon, for example, and buy the new 10 CD ABBA box set for, let's say, $100, $125, or you can buy the 10 LP ABBA box set for $300 or $400. I think I know where my money's going to go. I'm going to save $200 or $300 and maybe buy one of the new Paul McCartney deluxe boxes when they come out.
Yeah,
But yeah, that
no, I totally get that. My question to you though is, and again, you had to be without blanket of secrecy because that never came out on CD. And then there are clearly other things that have come out on vinyl. Maybe not too much that you like, but other things that have come out exclusively on vinyl.
I
I
know.
mean, don't you feel like you want to have that music?
No. See, because what happened with the 80s stuff that I love, the 70s and 80s stuff, the power pop, the blanket of secrecies or blanket of secrecy stuff like that. When I'd say by about mid 90s, mid to late 90s, I had a computer and I could transfer vinyl. So I would
Right.
spend hours digitally transferring vinyl. I probably transferred about 400 albums total. And
Wow. Yeah,
out of
when
those,
burners came about. Yeah.
yeah. So out of those, I would pay for the software, and I would manually. I'd put on my headphones, and I'd find a click, and I'd go in and manually remove it, and go back and listen to make sure you couldn't tell, and did great digital transfers. I mean, for just a personal collection, and for my friends and stuff, but not good enough to sell, but I mean, good enough to have since they weren't official. I'd say out of those hundreds of things that I digitally transferred myself, I'd say probably about or less than half have actually officially come out. So I actually have I lost the files forever, but all my friends still had them. So we gathered together. So I've got probably about a couple or 100 or a couple hundred albums digitally that are not available on CD that I have. So when I make my
I was going to say, sorry, I found a lot of those because I think you shared some with me over the years, and then
Yeah.
I recently went to some yard sales that the former owner of Middle Earth Records was having.
Yeah, I
And
used to
he
trade
had some
them.
of those out there. Yeah, he had some of those out there, and I picked up a few. I think he said they were Russian imports when he sold them to me.
Yeah. But
But I
But-
did buy a few, and they do sound really good.
yeah, I thing is that we didn't yeah, Tim says snap crackles and pops adds authenticity, which is very, very true, but I wanted to make it as close to a CD as possible. And I mean, thing is that we would trade them with people, and then all of a sudden, the thing that I hated, and guys, don't mention the name of the quote unquote label, because we made specific artwork for it, but those are up on eBay now. Things that from people I have no idea. We would make 3 copies of something, and then 25 years later, people are selling them, and it freaks me out completely. Totally freaks me out.
Yeah.
We have nothing to do with that. We didn't make money. We traded for other people doing the same thing, or trade 5 of those in to somebody, and then they'll trade back a new CD, whatever.
Here's a question.
They were all basically new wave, power pop, synth pop. So I'd say no. You mean the LPs that I owned? Yeah. I'd say, yeah, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of them were power pop, because I had my main things. Of course, I always bought the Beatles and the Osmonds and Jackson 5 and Neil Diamond and stuff like that. But a majority of my collection, I would go to Aaron's and Renee's records, which you guys are both very familiar with, and I would go through the 25 and 29 cent bins, and I would pull out any record with the band that started with the. And I'd look at it, I go, that looks good. I'd check the label, I check the producer, I check the year it was recorded, where it was recorded, all that nerdy stuff. And every time, this is weekly, I would go to Aaron's and Renee's,
Thank you,
and
Gary.
I would walk home with a box of 30 to 50 albums and paid under $20,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
I remember going to Middle Earth back in the day, because I used to live in the San Gabriel Valley, so I wasn't too far from Middle Earth Records, which was in Downey. And I remember one day going there, and this is just after I started really getting into power pop, and I was finding out about sort of obscure stuff, but I wasn't sure how to get it. and I found a copy of the Late Show album at Middle Earth, which I've never seen used anywhere before, and the first Richard X. Heyman EP, Actual Size.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were both $2.99, I think. And that used to be the thrill of collecting this kind of stuff. You could find it out in the wild, as they say, and you pay very, very little, because who the hell had ever heard of the Late Show or Richard X. Heyman back then? But it was really a thrill to find it, and you kind of lose your breath for a second. Oh my God, I found something I'm really looking for, which was a really cool thing about collecting music back then.
Yeah,
I saw the Grass Show LP, the vinyl, at Middle Earth. Stupidly didn't get it, and then I had to wait at least 20 years before I found it again at Left of the Dial, and of course that time I did get it.
Wow.
Yes, this is true about the real people. They didn't help Oasis. They didn't supply them with material. What they did was they helped them do a professional demo. And I remember saying this to John, and he joked about it. But they helped the band with their decorum on stage. So I can't imagine what the Gallaghers were like prior to real people teaching them comportment, because they didn't exactly they didn't comport themselves very well.
Yeah.
But obviously they became infamous for that, and that probably helped their career. But here's a compliment for you, Spaz. Yes, Popsided did indeed do that. I have to agree.
Yeah, it's so fun to do, and that's what I kind of still do that with my videos. I'm on, when it comes to, I'm not good at. Never mind. I'm not really good at expressing things. At least I don't think so, on paper or on video. But video, I can at least show that passion. So that's why I kind of, but I do have to get back into writing. I got to write my autobiography. It's about 2 or 3 pages long. met Dave Bash, met John Borack. That's about it.
There you go. What about Bleecker Bob's? What about Bleecker Bob's? What about it, Jay? It was a pretty good. I was brought up in New York. I went to NYU, and Bleecker Bob's was right around the corner. Most of what they had, I wasn't that interested in. But the good thing about them was they were able to get UK pressings before anybody else. And I remember when Get Happy by Elvis Costello came out in early 1980. They had the album a week before any of the U.S. stores did. So I remember after one of my classes, I ran over to Bleecker Bob's and made sure to get it before it sold out, because they had advertised they were going to have it. And I just made it in there. I think I may have gotten the last copy, actually. And then they opened up in L.A. for a few years, and it didn't pan out over here. Yeah,
I remember going into Bleecker Bob's, and you would see. Yeah, major thumbs down. I love the idea of the store, and I love the rare stuff that they had. But if you walked in, let's say, for example, I think this is probably 85, 86, Ice House had come out with the Measure by Measure album. And I remember that Aaron's and Renee's, they both had like the 12-inch one-track single for one of the songs from it, probably No Promises, album version, whatever. It was on 12-inch single. And they had it or Aaron's and Renee's had it for 99 cents. You go over to Bleecker Bob's and it was $20. It was always like that. You go through the bins.
They were overpriced with a lot of stuff. That is true.
Yeah, kind of like Mr. C's records in the Orange Circle.
Oh yeah, I remember Mr. C's. I'm sure John does too.
I've heard stories about that place. Actually, an acquaintance of mine asked me if I wanted to buy that with him because it was for sale.
Whoa!
I said, no, the last thing I want to do is buy a record shop. I buy all the inventory. I lose money.
Yeah, no doubt.
I already have a record shop. It's called my house. I don't.
Yeah.
For a little bit of trivia, that Orange Circle where Mr. C's is, that block was where they filmed That Thing You Do.
Yes, in Watson's drugstore.
Yeah, because that block was very authentic 50s look or early
Yes.
60s looking anyway. So they didn't have to do too much renovation to it. So it was perfect for them.
Yeah, but now I moved up here to Sacramento 4 years ago. Last time I went to Watson's, completely different looks. It didn't look like a diner anymore. It looked like a cool little coffee nook. They changed the inside. They took the heart and soul.
Yeah.
But that's what they do everywhere. They take the heart and soul, like in LA or in Las Vegas. The reason we go there is we love the Stardust and we love the Flamingo and we love the old vibe, the old feel of old Vegas. And now they've taken that all down and replaced it. Probably to people half of our age or even younger than that, it's exciting. But the thrill of all the stuff is gone because they're just raising it and putting up whatever.
Here, you're right, Spaz. Here's an interesting comment. Let's see how you guys. Well, I know how Spaz is going to feel about this, but let's see what you think, John. The snaps, crackles, and pops on vinyl add authenticity. I'm sure Spaz does not agree.
Yeah, I brought that up just a little while ago when we were talking about I get where Tim's actually a friend of mine, and not the star of Toy Story.
I was going to ask.
Yeah,
I thought maybe it was.
No,
you're not the Home Improvement guy.
Yeah, no, not the Home Improvement guy. But I get what he's saying. But to me, it's just like I cannot stand live albums. I want to hear everything about that recording, and I don't want to walk around like "If I Fell" by the Beatles or things like this. We had the old record back in the day, and I remember the skips. So when I hear Things We Said Today or If I Fell or something like that, I remember where this loud pop or this loud crackle, whatever. I still remember it, even though I haven't heard that piece of vinyl in 40 years. And I didn't.
I'm with you on that. The Traitor by the Beach Boys, right before they go into the Making It Softly part. There was this little click on my copy of Surf's Up. Not Surf's Up, Holland. I'm sorry. And every time I hear if I listen to the CD now, of course that click's not there, but in my head, it's definitely there. That'll never disappear.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether I want it or not.
When we were young, my brother and I, we always got one stay-up night a week, apart from Friday and Saturday night. But we got one stay-up night where we can stay up past 6 p.m. whatever. And one night, Hard Day's Night was on, but we had to go to bed at 9, and Hard Day's Night started at 8. So we put the timer on for 1 hour, and during If I Fell, the timer went off. So, and we were recording it with a handheld microphone. Right? We were recording the whole movie with a handheld microphone. This is probably, early 70s, 74 maybe. And so the part comes in, I couldn't stand the pain. And then the timer goes off, ding, and I would be sad. Right? So now every time I hear If I Fell, because we listened to that tape so many times that every time I hear If I Fell, I hear that little timer go off at 9 o'clock. And it's
John. What do you think about that? The adding the authenticity, or do you agree? And do you think that's a good thing?
Well, no. If you want the authenticity, then yeah. If you want a pristine listening experience, then no. I think it depends on the individual. I certainly have similar memories to you guys of records I had when I was in junior high school and elementary school, and remembering the. How your record was 45, your record like 45, it always sounded, but really just a lot of hiss, and how a lot of the MCA 45s were really warped, and different things like that, and how I had a copy of Oh My by Ringo Starr. Speaking of Vinnie Poncia, who co-wrote that song, had a copy of Oh My that I had to take back to the store 5 times, and it skipped in the same place every single time. And so whenever I hear that song now, like you guys, I'm waiting for the skip. That doesn't happen. But it really depends on the individual. I don't like it when it has the now if I'm paying $29-$30 for a record, screw the authenticity. I don't want to hear pops and clicks. I want to hear it the way it should be presented. But individual taste.
Oh yeah, I mean, like another big reason why I don't buy vinyl, and of course, don't get me started on digital. We'll talk about digital downloads in a second. But one of the main reasons I don't like buying vinyl, and is like whenever I hear something. Again, this just happens to be handy, guys. My Buzzcocks Inventory CD single box set, but it's like, I'm going, I want to put on, what do I get? I want to play that on my, because I have shows on Mixcloud. I have This Is Ski Lodge on Mixcloud. I have Return of the Living 80s. I have This Is Pop, and a couple other shows on Mixcloud. And if I had the vinyl, I'd have to digitally transfer it myself and then be able to share that music with people. And I love the fact that I can just grab this, load it into my system, make my radio shows. Now, I know Tim uses vinyl. My friend Tim Allen here, who has a radio show, uses vinyl. But, it's like whenever I hear an album, I'm going, what, gosh, would John like this? Or would Bash like this? Or would my Ski Lodge listeners like this? And that's what it makes it easy when I'm on CDs to compile my shows and set aside songs. Because I'm always going to forget. If you tell me, hey, can you play Squeeze Pulling Muscles for Michelle on your next show? Right now, I'm going to say, yeah. As soon as the show's over, I'm going to forget. You know what I mean? So if I can pull all the files into a folder and it works perfect. And that's one of the reasons why I like CDs, because I can just easily load them, and I can still snuggle with them at night. They won't break. And, but...
Yeah, but their hole isn't big enough like a 45.
That's big enough for me.
Big enough for what?
I wasn't going to say anything, so I'm glad you did.
I think maybe it might be... Well, never mind.
Here's my take on this. I think there's room for both vinyl and CDs.
Oh, totally, yeah.
I'm not, and this is no disrespect to you, Spaz. I don't really like snobs of any format. Vinyl snobs just irk the shit out of me, and I have what I think is a very, very impressive collection, as both of you guys have. Mm-hmm. I see documentaries where people. Or books or magazines where people are interviewed about their collections because they have impressive ones, and it's virtually all people with their vinyl collections.
Right.
It's every whether it be albums or 12-inch singles or 7 inches or whatever. You never see people interviewed about their CD collections, and there's a documentary that just came out called Record Safari. Didn't just come out. It came out a few years ago. A guy named Alex Rodriguez, which will, of course, be a joke between me and John, having nothing to do with a guy, of course. It won't be a joke to you, Spaz. But anyway,
I'm sure it's a sports reference.
It's a sports reference.
It is.
Yeah. It's sports ball. It is. But anyway,
ball. I hate that. I hate that term.
I do too. That's why I said it. But
people who say sports ball is almost as annoying as people who call it vinyls. Hey, I bought 3 new vinyls today.
Yeah.
But sports ball is meant to be derisive, while vinyls that's just a faux pas. But anyway, he was interviewed for a documentary. He went around the country to purchase vinyl for his store in Coachella. He had a store at the Coachella Festival, and he was purchasing vinyl for it. And he went and part of the documentary was following him around. Another part was interviewing both record store owners and collectors. And it was only about vinyl. And you had these people talking about how great vinyl was, and you had some people saying, I've never bought a CD in my life. And you've had people saying, I've never spent more than $1 on vinyl. And let me just say, for the record, to those people, you guys are idiots. Here's why. Do you know how much music has come out on CD that has never come out on vinyl? Lots and lots and lots and lots. I have literally thousands of CDs, mostly reissues of 60s and 70s stuff. but also stuff that came out during the non-vinyl era of the 90s and the early 2000s. That stuff has never come out on vinyl and never will. And all of you vinyl snobs are missing out on that stuff. You are not listening to that great music because you won't buy CDs. And that's crazy. The other part about the guy who doesn't spend more than $1 on vinyl, great. Then there's a lot of records you're just not going to own. I mean, you can brag about that all you want, but
he's got
more missing out on more music. And as far as not wanting to interview somebody like me because my collection is 80% CDs, well, I think you people are nuts. I mean, music is music, and if it's on a physical format, it doesn't matter whether it's a record or a CD. And then you had this other guy, and let me tell you this, and you'll relate to this, Spaz. It's another guy who had a copy of, I don't remember, some 60s album. He held up the vinyl, and he said, "This is how it was meant to be heard. It was recorded for vinyl." Well, you know what? I want to hold up a Fountains of Wayne album and say, on CD, and say, you know what? This is how it was meant to be heard on CD because it was recorded digitally. All the vinyl came out after the fact. And I mean, Spaz, you could hold up thousands of CDs and you could say, this is in my collection and this is how it was meant to be heard. Not on these vinyl reissues where they don't know how to master
vinyl's reissues
and put it on vinyl. Yeah. So, I mean, what'd you say? Sorry.
Vinyl's reissues.
Right, of course. So, I mean, yeah, I agree it's sour grapes because I really want to be part of a documentary or part of a magazine article showing off my collection. But also, it's just foolish. Why should you be a snob about any format? It's all music. It's all good.
Well, you see,
over.
No. You see, I mean, I know that you weren't directing the whole CD thing at me. No. Thing is I have chosen CD as my format of choice only because I don't have the money or the room to reinvest in a whole new thing. Would I like to have a whole collection and a turntable? Fine. Yeah, maybe I would like to have, some choice things, all my favorite albums on vinyl, the Beatles, Elvis, things like that. But I have all that on CD, and it's easily accessible on CD or on files here. But I don't sit there and go, you're stupid because you listen to vinyl. No, I think that people, I have gotten so much crap from people because of the fact that I'm on CD, because everyone's like, oh, well, have you heard this, Miles Davis release pressed on this vinyl, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's awesome. I'm glad that you dig that. But guess what? I love my Kinks CDs, and I love my...
You got your Buzzcocks box again. You love your Buzzcocks box.
Yeah, I love my Buzzcocks box. And guess what? These are miniature versions of the singles.
Yeah.
So you may have a 7-inch, but I have a 5-inch.
It's not how big it is; it's how you use it.
Exactly. But the thing is to me, it's always about the music. I don't care what format you listen to, man, but just let the music hit you where it's supposed to hit you. You can be proud of the formats in your vinyl collection, your CD collection, your MP3 collection, whatever you're proud of, but just as long as it fills you with this passion and desire, and it moves you emotionally. It doesn't matter what format it's on. I mean, it could hurt if you maybe have a broken record and cut yourself or something. But I mean, emotionally, it's that connection with music.
It's true. CDs don't break as easily, so you won't cut yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's important.
Yes.
I just purchased a bunch of 8-track tapes, believe it or not. Just sort of collectibles, just because
I love those.
You guys know I collect Beatles stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody on eBay who was selling a bunch of sealed 8-track tapes from the 70s, solo Beatles stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
So I picked up a bunch of those just because I'm not going to play them, obviously, but it's just cool to have and neat little collectible. And I have kind of a cool collection of 8-track stuff. I was going to say that person who never paid more than $1 for any of his vinyls, he must have one hell of a Jim Neighbors LP collection.
Well, no, I was going to say that person who will not pay more than $1 for an album, he's probably got a great Andy Williams collection. And I paid more for my Andy Williams. I've got every Andy Williams album on CD. Swear. In fact, some of them I have doubles of. And believe it or not, I'm like nerdy Andy Williams going like, oh, well, that version of Pieces of April is a completely different backing track than this one. Why Andy Williams has different versions of stuff on UK and American albums, I don't know, because he doesn't seem like that kind of person or that type of artist. But I'm nerdy enough to know.
Would care, but obviously there were. Yeah, I mean, sometimes what happens is, I'm sure you know, sometimes the record companies in different countries get sent different tapes, because some of the people who work in the archive areas of record companies aren't necessarily the brightest people in the world, and they send the wrong tapes out. So that happens a lot, actually, where there's different versions of songs on, let's say, UK vinyl versus US vinyl or whatever. So yeah, but that's great for the collectors. When these people make the mistakes, we're going, yeah, we get different versions of these things.
Yeah, but then our significant others are going to say, how come we don't have enough for rent? And you go, but I got that Andy Williams UK import, you know.
Damn straight. You know, I've known a few people actually who have gotten into relationships, and then when it's time for marriage, the woman, I'm going to say the woman, I'm sure this has happened the other way around, but the woman will say, you know, now that we're getting married, it's either the records or me. And
bye, honey.
I love the Facebook meme about that. Like, as soon as this song is over, I'll help you pack.
Yeah.
So I think we're lucky that, you know, we've had significant others that haven't done that, but it's happened.
Yeah, but ultimately, though, it's about how the music makes you feel, regardless of format, unless it's digital only.
Yeah. And
well, yeah,
you know, some stuff
we need to talk about that. Yeah,
I must say, being a DJ, some stuff that's digital only, if I just want the single and not the full album, I might go there. It's not, you know,
absolutely,
it's not my thing of choice, you know. But if I need just one song and I know the album is not going to be my cup of tea, but I love that one song, I might just buy that one song for 99 cents on iTunes or wherever, so I'll have it in my catalog. But
no, that makes sense.
That makes total sense, and there's room.
Yeah, ultimately, I think everybody would rather have, whether it's a book or a CD or a record, you know, most people, at least people that would watch this show, would probably rather have something to look at in their hand, feel, and collect. You know, you can't do that with a file, obviously.
No.
Hey, I'll trade you my.
There's room for digital. There's a lot of practical value to digital, as John mentioned. As being a DJ, it makes it very convenient for people. You know, record companies don't have the money now to send out. Sometimes they don't have the money to send out physical copies to reviewers, which sucks, but it's reality. And sometimes they'll get the digital file before they get the actual physical product. So they can send it to us. All three of us write reviews. It's nice to be able to hear something early and get used to it before we write something. I love listening to Spotify when I'm not around my physical collection. I think it's great. Spotify has turned me on to a lot of things that I've ultimately bought. So I think it's great for that. But, you know, as we're talking, you know, Spaz and I are of the opinion that if something does not come out in a physical format, whether it be vinyl, CD, 8-track, or whatever, it's not truly an album. And I know that seems completely counter to what we were saying earlier, and John clearly doesn't agree with that, nor do a lot of reviewers that we know. Some do, some don't. I feel like I'm old school. I feel like something needs to be physical to be a true album rather than just a collection of files.
Well, here's
you don't agree with that.
Here's my take on that. I'm very much in that same camp. But and this is probably the way it is with you too. To me, it's an emotional connection when it's physical product. When you're holding the explosives and you go, my God, it's disc 1 is a whole disc of studio stuff, and disc 2 is a whole disc of live.
Ready, steady, rules.
Yeah. There's that extra physical connection to it. But if somebody says like, hey, I'll send you a digital file, I will actually say, I appreciate that, but I'll buy it. I'll pay, and it's really, I know that it's maybe like a stubborn attitude and it's not a popular attitude, but it's really, a physical product helps me to connect. I mean, do I want to see a picture of a Big Mac or do I want to go to McDonald's and buy a Big Mac? A picture of a Big Mac or the sound of somebody eating a Big Mac.
I'm not quite sure that's an apt analogy. But.
Well, it's a perfect analogy for right now.
Okay.
But gosh, do I want to date that girl or do I just want to look at pictures of her? To me,
not an apt analogy, but looking at pictures of Lily. Yeah, I mean that. John, of course, is shaking his head, but sometimes pictures can be an okay substitute. Also, to quote
but no, it's
not quite an apt analogy.
1,000 words.
It's really all about, and I admit, am I wrong in the way that I'm thinking? I am, but I'm 58 years old and I can't just change, and just say, okay, I'll take digital. I know a lot of people who do totally love digital, and it's that's wonderful. I honestly wish that I could do that. There are some things that are not available in any format and it bums me out, apart from digital. And I don't want to make anybody mad by saying, don't send me a digital album, because there's so much great, wonderful music out there that the musicians cannot afford to put it out in any format.
Well, hold on. Anyone can afford to put out a CD at this point. Not in the past when you had to do 1,000. And obviously at that time you could sell more CDs. But if that were the case now, then I would agree. Now you can do 50 CDs. You can get Cool Cat. You can get Jam Records. You can get other mail order places. You'll sell enough to at least break even. So if you want to do vinyl, that's another matter. I can imagine not being able to afford that. But any musician can afford to do 50 CDs. They will make their money back.
Yeah.
There are enough places where they can sell them at their shows, and if they don't do shows, again, Cool Cat, Jam, a few others, you can do it. So the people who don't do CDs just don't want to. And that's okay. If you don't want to do it, don't. But don't tell me you can't afford it, because you can afford 50 CDs.
But I do understand it. It no longer gets me mad. I mean, sometimes it gets me mad at myself for just not being able to. And I apologize. I just I just can't connect with now if somebody's sending me, like we said, maybe early versions of stuff, or hey, here's a couple tracks for my next album, all that kind of stuff, I'm just going, oh yeah, this is awesome. For example, Terry Scott Taylor. You remember who Terry Scott Taylor is, David?
I do indeed. You turned me on to him. Yes,
from Daniel Amos, right? His brand new album is Bye, John. His brand new album is spectacular. But Kickstarter, all the Kickstarter people got the CDs first. I didn't know he had a Kickstarter, so I haven't been able to buy the CD. I just listened to the first 2 or 3 songs on Bandcamp. If you go to terryscotttaylor.com Bandcamp, his new album, the first 3 songs blew my mind. And I cannot wait until they make the CD available. They're getting it out to all the Kickstarter people. But just fantastic stuff. And I'll be doing one of my silly videos on that. I love, are you familiar with the label The Beautiful Music?
I I am, but I don't think I own anything on it.
Well, you and I were buying Sarah Records stuff back then. I know that you weren't.
Sure.
Yeah, Sarah Records, and then of course
I wasn't as big on them as you were, but I liked some of it. Yeah.
This is very much like all the stuff on their labels. Very much. Everybody, check out John Borack right there. The beautiful music. Everything on the label is like this, either stuff on Sarah Records or the stuff on indie labels in the early '90s. Very reminiscent of that stuff. Some of it is sort of ramshackle, where you go like maybe not quite hitting that note, or maybe there's a guitar bit. Yeah, but it's just so absolutely heartwarming to listen to the stuff on this label, and that's all on CD, and I'm so happy about that.
Right on, David Ellis. Very true.
Yeah. You know, it's like Dot Dash and Armstrong and stuff. All the stuff on the beautiful music label.
Oh, Armstrong is on that label. All right, then I do have some stuff.
Okay. The new Armstrong, I think, is really good. It's got sometimes it's all about a sequence of chords. Sometimes it's the haunting feeling you get when this chord is matched with that chord, and then a little keyboard overlay, and it just creates a mood, a spirit. And actually, the name The Beautiful Music label works perfectly, even if some of it is maybe quasi shoegaze or something like that. So it's really a label that's really reminds me a lot of the Sarah Records, and then the early '90s going into shoegaze, but not quite hitting that shoegaze thing. Not really Britpop. So C86, there's a lot of things that feel like that. Really, really fantastic stuff. I don't know.
Sorry, I want to address
I'm done.
this. It's kind of important. You're absolutely right, Jay. And as I remember it, and this, it could be wrong because I wasn't looking for this, so I wasn't paying a huge amount of attention. But I think Devendra Banhart, if that's how you pronounce his name, I'm not a fan. Sorry.
I think so. Yeah.
But one of the magazines did an interview with him, and he was talking about listening to his dad's Donovan albums, and he said, "When I say albums, I mean LPs. I mean vinyl." I was talking about how warm it sounded and how he loved holding the 12-inch picture, and how great the experience was. And he said, "I'm going to make my next album on vinyl." And right then is when the vinyl resurgence seemed to happen, because he was a well-respected indie artist and the young kids loved him. And once they knew, they said, "Well, if Devendra Banhart's going to release his album on vinyl, we need to do that also." And as I remember it, that's kind of how it started, and then it snowballed from there. I may be wrong about that. If either of you guys remember it differently, but yeah, I knew that the old buyers of vinyl, there was no way the resurgence was going to happen. It was always young indie bands that started doing it, and fans of those indie bands that started buying it. Oh, what have we here?
That is John Borack's latest book.
Is that a CD? Oh, it's a book. Okay.
Yeah, it's John Borack's latest book. But I think he's frozen again.
Thank you.
He is frozen, but he's laughing.
Appreciate
So
that.
we're happy.
Appreciate the plug. Yes. Oh, well, at least I'm happy. I'm not sure why I'm frozen.
You're frozen and happy. Well, with that, we need to end it anyway. We're over our hour. I want to thank Steve Schnee very much for being our guest and adding his flavor to this stuff. We didn't even get to discuss what is or what isn't power pop, but you know what? People are sick of hearing about it anyway. And no, Boston is not power pop. I'm sorry. And
let me tell you right now, the whole thing about power pop, the reason why, or one of the main reasons why I stepped away from talking about power pop, is I want to enjoy music. I want to feel love and passion for the music. I don't want to argue about it. And that's really all it is. It's just enjoy what you love. If you think that Depeche Mode is power pop, awesome. If you think Captain and Tennille's power pop, awesome. But
we'll lock
just
you up.
Love the music.
Awesome.
Yeah. But just love what you love. I mean, that's all it is for me. Yeah,
I mean, I can have these discussions. I can have these debates. I can have these arguments about what is or what isn't, and it doesn't diminish my joy.
Mm.
I mean, I don't just love power. I'm not one of those people where if it's not power pop, I'm not going to listen. If I was, then yeah. If suddenly I was convinced that some band I loved wasn't power pop, it would be like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I can't like them anymore. No, I mean, I love all kinds of music. So if somebody doesn't agree with me that something's power pop, that's fine. I don't care. I still love it the way I love it. But I also understand where you're coming from. You don't want to argue about music. You want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And,
That's why music's there. It's music is there to be loved and savored and enjoyed, and like Steve said earlier, it evokes all these different moods of joy and sadness and a lot of memories, obviously, and that's what it's all about, the way the music makes you feel. But having said that, anyone who thinks Kiss is power pop is a complete fucking idiot.
Yes.
And they're a butthead too.
That
both.
Too.
Yeah, both. Well, thank you, DC Tune Time. We appreciate you listening, and thank you, Tim Allen, for saying great show. We appreciate it.
This is just three friends talking about music. That's all this is.
Power pop's like porn. You know it when you hear it.
Yeah.
Well, I tend to watch my porn. I don't just listen to it.
Wait. Hold on. What? Okay. Was that power pop or porn?
I'm thoroughly sick.
That was power porn. That was power porn.
Or was it porn pop?
Oh Lord. Papa porno.
Anyway,
on that note,
gentlemen, this was a slice of heaven. Thank you both for being on. We should do this again, the three of us. There's so much more we can talk about.
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Spaz is out.
Oh yeah. Let's real fast before we end. We have to let people know. Spaz. I was known as Spaz for 30 years. It was always Steve Spaz Schnee. I have liner notes out there, CDs out there. You open it up, it says Spaz. It doesn't say Steve Spaz Schnee. I have hundreds and hundreds of reviews out there that are credited to Spaz. But about 3 years ago, I discovered that in some countries the word spaz is a derogatory term, sort of like, as I've told John, like the R word is here in the U.S. The last thing I ever want to do is offend anybody, piss people off, and so I just immediately took that name out of the things that I do. But I'm totally fine with my friends calling me that. I just don't put it. You can't read it on my channel.
Wait, spaz is not derogatory in this country. Seems to me that it always was. I never enjoyed being called a spaz, and it happens. It happened from time to time. I mean, in your case, it must have been you decided to own the name, right?
I decided to own the name because people said I was I get real spazzy about music. Get so excited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's where it came from.
HNKLBN. No, it isn't. That's all I got to say to that. If your ear beholds that Kiss and Boston are power pop, you're wrong. Sorry.
I think we all know what power pop is. I think we all totally know what power pop is. Maybe we should have a class. Maybe we should because then we're none of us are going to agree what power pop
Facebook
is.
User Yaz was a great ball player.
Yeah.
I
love Yaz. Like, don't go. Can't stop now. Don't you know? I ain't ever gonna let you go. Don't go. Not power pop.
Yeah, Yaz is good music.
But it could be power synth pop or synth power pop.
Please, dear Lord, tell me that was a joke. Whoever said what about Yaz? Please tell me that was a joke.
I'm sure it was a joke.
Whether or not they're power pop, yeah, that better be a joke.
No, don't make anybody feel bad. Come on, guys.
Well,
Yaz is not power pop. Rico Petrocelli is not power pop. Tony Canigliaro is not power pop. Sorry.
Those are all Boston Red Sox baseball players for everyone out there who doesn't know.
And at this point,
everyone who's listening.
At this point, before we sign off, I want to say that, my opinion, the two greatest power pop albums of all time, and it's in rotating order: debut album from 2020 and the debut album from The Beat, Paul Collins' Beat.
You mean Taking It to the Streets by the Doobie Brothers?
Actually, you don't know me 'cause I'm your bro.
Somebody in one of the power pop groups said that he felt that What a Fool Believes was power pop, and that's got to be the worst.
Actually, that fool believed that.
That's got to be the worst call of any of any power pop call I've ever heard. So
Yeah, well, I think that the best actually the greatest female power pop of all time. You can probably maybe some of the Blondie stuff, but I think that My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion probably top of the list.
you mean not Ken Sharp, the best female power pop artist?
Oh.
No, Ken. I love 1301 Highland Avenue. It's a great album. But yeah, the voice is pretty high, and some people have. Well,
Ken Sharp will never watch this show, David. Come on.
Well, that's why I said that.
But I will say somebody here says that they own every Christopher Cross album, and they will declare that Christopher Cross is not power pop. I will proudly state that I own every Christopher Cross album. I love Christopher Cross. In fact, his last 2 albums are with a band. Of course, now that we're on live, I can't think of the band. I'm actually going to do a CD Junkie episode on Christopher Cross.
Hey man, think of Laura as banging power pop. Let me tell you.
I mean, Sailing, man, right up there with Go All the Way.
Yeah, I have to agree. All right, guys, we got to go.
Yes, please.
We will see you next time.
Yeah. Remember to like me on Facebook. Hey, I got to advertise myself here. I took an hour out of my time for free. No, like me on Facebook, and also check out Stephen Schnee channel on YouTube. Every Tuesday night live, I have This Is Ski Lodge, where we play sunshine pop, easy listening, lounge. A lot of people just come, listen to music. It's a safe space, no negativity. It's all just wonderful, uplifting music. And check out John Borack. Like I said, his brand new book, Beatles 100. And I've only read 99 out of the 100, so I got one more to read. And then, of course, David Bash and his Ipo Festival coming, streaming live 24 hours a day. It's actually not, but I'm trying to convince him to do that.
We're coming to San Diego on July 8th and 9th at Black Cat Club, and we're going to be in LA at various venues July 14th through 23rd, and then we're going to be in San Francisco. And we're back at Hotel Utah, and we're going to be in Vancouver, Atlanta Luz in August. So, and so it's all gonna be fun, and we hope to see you there. But everyone, have a great rest of your night. Thank you for listening. Next week, Ken Curson of rockandrollglobe.com will be our guest. It should be fun. We hope to see you there. Peace, everyone.
Did he say no this week? And that's why you got me.
Okay, we should be ending.